Well, Coach, obviously good to be back underway here at Maroon and White Camp. Basketball action back underway for the summer here. It's always exciting, of course, to see familiar teams that you've gotten used to seeing here, see some new faces, and to get everybody back into the swing of things. You have one game under your belt now with Middletown South. Just what were your first impressions of seeing your team out here on the floor with some young faces coming together pretty well against Pascack Valley? Obviously, you didn't win the game on the scoreboard, but I thought there were some positive things that you certainly took away.
Yeah, the youth that definitely showed us some things. We got a lot of kids that are injured and some kids that are still at some AAU tournaments, so you get a chance to look at some kids that maybe you would not have the opportunity to do. So we saw some things that we definitely liked, and James does such a good job of organizing this thing and getting different teams in. It was great to play a team like Pascack Valley that has such a rich history of winning, and their organization is so good. So it's good on a lot of levels. Just to get in the gym again with my team, but then to play somebody we haven't seen 1,000 times was good too. Yeah,
defensively, it really seemed like Pascack Valley was able to figure things out as the game went on against you. Obviously, this is a team that's prided itself on defense, over the past couple of years, and this will now be your first year in a while, without Steph Carr's out there on the floor. How was, defensively, obviously we know how much he meant to the team. How was kind of keeping that message the same, while, considering since you're still here and a lot of the same cast of players are still here, how was keeping that kind of defensive presence with this team been, even though she's not out there?
Yeah, well, from a press offense standpoint, Pascack really exposed quite a bit. They were relentless, and that's kind of a word we're going to have to incorporate into what we want to do as well. We did not rebound well, and that's something that for 20 years we've always done. And it's July, so we're not going to hit the panic button now. But one of the beautiful things about being able to come to this event is that you get to see what things you need to work on, so you're not going in cold in November. You jot down some notes and put some asterisks next to some things, and rebounding will definitely be one of those things that will have many asterisks next to it.
Right, it seemed like that's definitely an area where the younger players are going to be developing in that area, specifically rebounding with players like Eve Peary and Balsamo as well, being able to crash the glass and get after it. As far as Eve Peary goes, obviously she's a player that could see herself in a bigger role this year. What do you expect to see from her this year going forward, and even in this camp, as she gets better playing against this competition?
Eve's going to be, she's got to be a central point of things of what we're trying to accomplish on the offensive end, but I think an even bigger presence on the defensive end. She's got to be a much more physical player. I think all of our younger kids are struggling with speed and strength of the game. It's something we talk about all the time, and watching Alexandra, I remember when she was a freshman in this gym 4 years ago, and now she's just dominating, both with quickness, speed, physicality, everything. And that's something that a player like Eve is going to have to bring into her repertoire as well. The younger kids, whether it's fair or it's unfair, we're going to rely on them, and they're going to have to respond by rising to the challenge of accepting that speed and strength issue.
You have anything?
Coach, a lot of people talk about just how great this camp is, having a camp like this in the short conference for you guys to work on. You play Pascack Valley, now you're going to play a team in Monsignor McClancy who you really don't see too often. How important is this camp for your team when you talk about those younger players and just developing a role, and players like Alexandra just to say, hey, look, this is a big camp for us. This is a camp that you guys really have to take seriously. What do you tell them in that regards?
James has done such a good job. He's got a vision of what he wants this camp to be, and it's such a good environment for high school teams. It's similar to an AAU event, but it's much smaller. It's much more intimate, and it does give the high school coach a chance to indoctrinate or kind of incorporate some of his philosophy into the new kids coming in. And I think it also gives the older kids like an Alexandra a chance to put a stamp on their leadership. Haley DeLonzo, who's not playing but clearly is here. She's going to be doing a workout on the other side of the gym in a little bit, just to show the younger kids how committed you have to be to not just perform, but to perform well in a conference that has the caliber of teams that the Shore Conference has.
What do you really look for in a camp like this when you're playing multiple games against different teams? It could be tough for players, especially in the summertime where, they're playing basketball, but just not maybe at as, full speed as they would normally in the season.
Right. we did today, believe it or not, well, if you saw us play, you'd believe it. Today was the first day we had everybody playing.
Right,
We weren't together at all summer because kids were all over the place. So I'm looking for instinctual stuff. How well do you step into a passing lane? You know, do you catch it and do something positive, aggressive with it, or are you kind of passive? So we're looking for little tendencies like that. How well do you gap defend, you know? But other than that, we're also looking for, out of the experienced kids, how quickly are they accepting the new kids? Are they being coaches on the floor? You know, are they taking a responsibility, you know, as much as just being a player as being a teammate too? So we're looking for a lot of little things, and that's the nice thing. You can look at all these things and say it's just July.
Yep. Well, thank you, Coach. We appreciate it. Thanks for seeing you. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think we can escape the heat.